To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day. Yeah. Everything you need to know that you never knew, that you need to know. Lockhart Perspective.
I've always been a unique person, you know what I mean? Sort of laid back in a way, but very adamant and very passionate about what I believe. I think a lot of times that sort of throws people off because they don't expect me to have the mindset or the process of thought that I do. And so when you come in to watch my channel, you may hear a myriad of thoughts and ideas that could be different from others. What I want you to do is just sit back, like, share, and subscribe. Well, hello, and welcome. We are going to get right into it because we've got a lot of things to cover today. But I want to first of all say welcome to the Lockhart Perspective and Headlines with a Voice, as we are simulcasting to both channels. So whichever side you're on, I appreciate you for being here. The biggest and best thing that you could do for the channel, for the channels, is to make sure that you hit the like button. And I appreciate you if you have the ability to share. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to go on ahead and start to present some of the stories that we want to lay a foundation for. The first thing that I'm going to do is take a glance at this video, and then I think we're going to build everything else on top of this. We're using this video that's coming to the screen completely and definitely as information. We're using it for information, for educational purposes. We do not own it. It does not belong to us, but we are certainly going to use it so that way we can lay the groundwork for where we're going this afternoon. This comes from the United Nations channel. Again, it is being used for educational purposes.
Passing through it in their campaigns of plunder and conquest elsewhere. But today, as we tear down the walls of enmity, Israel can become a bridge of peace and prosperity between these continents. Peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia will truly.
I don't want to take for granted that everybody has seen this, so let me give you where this comes from. This is Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, who is addressing the United Nations, and this was just this past September at the latter part of the month, so that you are up to speed. Didn't want to be unfair to those who are tuning in.
Create a new Middle East. To understand the magnitude of the transformation that we seek to advance, let me show you a map of the Middle East in 1948, the year Israel was established. Here's Israel in 1948. It's a tiny country, isolated, surrounded by a hostile Arab world. In our first 70 years, we made peace with Egypt and Jordan. And then in 2020, we made the Abraham Accords, peace with another 4 Arab states. Now look at what happens when we make peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The whole Middle East changes. We tear down the walls of enmity. We bring the possibility of prosperity and peace to this entire region, but we do something else. You know, a few years ago, I stood here with a red marker to show the curse, a great curse, the curse of a nuclear Iran.
He is standing there with a red pen, and he's going to let you know that what he did before was he showed that there was a terrible issue going on there. The purpose of me sharing this with you is to show you that perhaps there's a little bit more that we need to look at when we're considering the atrocities and the terrible situation that's currently going on in that region. I do have to break in as I'm using somebody else's information because I have to make commentary per the regulation here on YouTube. So, with that said, let me get right back into it. Thank you for your patience in advance, understanding that I will have to break in every now and then.
But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing, the blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change, another pivot of history. Now, as the circle of peace expands, I believe that a real path towards a genuine peace with our Palestinian neighbors can finally be achieved. But there's a caveat. It has to be said here, forcefully. Peace can only be achieved if it is based on truth. It cannot be based on lies. It cannot be based on endless vilification of the Jewish people. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas must stop spreading the horrible anti-Semitic conspiracies against the Jewish people and the Jewish state.
Okay, and so you see that portion. We have to lay the groundwork for where we're going. There are other articles and other pieces that I'd like to share with you, starting with what's going on right now today. As you all may know, let me give this a little bit more size to it. As you can see, I used one of them as a thumbnail on one channel and the other on another channel. So again, thank you for all of you guys for hanging out. So here you go. Israel tells the UN to evacuate the northern Gaza Strip within 24 hours. This comes from Axios.com. All of the links to everything that we're using right now are already down below in the description. So with that said, the Israeli Prime Minister of Defense and the IDF notified the UN just before midnight local time that Palestinians living north of Wadi Ghazi should evacuate to the southern part of the Gaza Strip within the next 24 hours, according to the UN spokesperson Stephanie Durajic and another source with direct knowledge. The story goes on to ask the question, or to make the statement, the big picture. Well, there are more than 1 million Palestinians that live in this area. The message could be a signal that the Israeli military is preparing for an imminent ground operation. The sources also told Axios that the IDF's reason for the notification was in order for the civilians not to be hurt by the military's actions and operations. Quote, "We call on all civilians in the Gaza city to move south," Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said on Friday in a press conference with the United States Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin in Tel Aviv. "We don't want to harm them," he goes on to say. "Whoever wants to save his life should go south." He continues with, "Hamas is camouflaging itself inside the civilian population, and we are going to go in and dismantle its infrastructure," Gallant said. More than 1,530 Palestinians and 1,200 Israelis have been killed, thousands have been injured, and hundreds of thousands of others have been displaced since the latest fighting has begun. Hamas is believed to be holding 150 hostages in Gaza, the article states. The article also states the driving the news is the Israeli military has carried out heavy bombardment of Gaza since Hamas militants, according to this article, attacked Israel on Saturday. It has also imposed a complete siege on the enclave, which is home to more than 2 million Palestinians. What they're saying, the IDF said in an announcement to Gaza City residents, that all should evacuate and move south of Wadi Ghazi. It will continue to operate significantly in Gaza City. In the coming days, the Israeli forces will make extensive efforts to avoid harming civilians, the IDF says. They continue with, "You will be able to return to Gaza only when another announcement permitting it is made. The IDF urged the residents to distance themselves from Hamas, which they say are using people, the individuals that live in that area, as human shields. It warned civilians not to approach the area of a security fence with Israel because it said that Hamas militants were hiding in tunnels, quote, underneath homes and buildings and populated with innocent Gazan civilians. Meanwhile, Darajic told Axios, quote, today, just before midnight local time, team leaders of the UN Office of the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs and the Department of Safety and Security in Gaza were informed by the liaison officers in the Israeli military that the entire population of Gaza, north of Wadu Gaza, should relocate to southern Gaza within the next 24 hours. This amounts to approximately 1.1 million people, she continues. The same order applies to all UN staff and those sheltered in UN facilities, including schools, health centers, clinics, Darajic said. The United Nations considers it impossible for such a movement to take place without devastating humanitarian consequences, Darajic added. The United Nations strongly appeals for any such order, if confirmed, to be rescinded, avoiding what could transform what is already a tragedy into a calamitous situation. The state of play, the United Nations General Antonio Guterres spoke twice on Thursday night with Israeli ambassador to the UN, Gilad Erand, and said that he wants to get clarification at the highest political level about Israel's request to evacuate the population from the northern Gaza Strip, a UN source said. Erdogan, in a statement, called the UN's response to Israel's earlier warning to the residents of Gaza shameful. For many years, there's a quote from Erdogan. For many years, the UN has turned a blind eye to the arming of Hamas and its use of civilian population and civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip as a hiding place for its weapons and murder. Now, I'm going to stop here because I want to make something very plain. Let me come back over to your side because, as I said, the article is down below. But let me give you guys a little bit of information that everybody knows, but it's so important for us to look at it and to get it together. Because if we don't get it together, then we're going to just go on ahead and, fall for the okey doke. And that's not what we want. I want to look clearly at the screen. I'm not even going to say it. Let's just go ahead and look at the screen and let's just go on ahead and read what this was really about. All right. I'm going to share the screen with this. All right. So here you go. There you are. The Balfour Declaration, the divisive legacy of 67 words. Now, this was on the anniversary, November 2nd, 2017. As we know, it was drafted November 2nd, 1917. Okay? The British peer author Balfour barely makes an appearance in the UK school books, but made Israeli and Palestinian students, but many of the Israeli and Palestinian students could talk to you about him. Now, I'm going to go into the Balfour Declaration itself because this is the most important piece that I want to drive home. His Majesty's government's view with favor and establishment in in Palestine of a nation home for the Jewish people, and will use their best endeavors to facilitate the movement of this object, it being clearly understood that nothing shall be done which may prejudice the civil and religious rights of the existing non Jewish communities in Palestine or the rights and political statutes enjoyed by Jews living in any other country. Now, let me make this a little smaller because it looks like, see how they just blocked that out. I want to give you guys the whole thing because the issue is that it was written to Lord Rothschild. It's a very amazing thing. I find it very curious that a lot of people literally don't get it. They really don't. Biblical people who study the Bible, just don't get it. And there is danger in not understanding. We have to look at the time in which this was written and where Lord Rothschild was residing. They were in Britain at this particular time. This is where he was. So at the same time, it goes on to say that it says that nothing should prejudice the civil and religious rights of existing non-Jewish communities. Palestinians see this as a great betrayal, particularly given a separate promise made to enlist the political and military support of the Arabs, then ruled by the Ottoman Turks in World War I. Balfour Declaration has a hand in shaping and changing that entire region. In tandem with having a hand in it, they single handedly from Europe handed themselves the opportunity to take over a large place that had nothing to do with any Europeans. Let me make this perfectly clear. If you look at what Netanyahu just showed you, there was this little bitty thumb shape in between all of these Arab nations, which mean that all of the areas around it were the same as that little thumb shaped place. Now, a lot of people want to use the Bible. Well, let's roll with it because I can use it too. Studied it like most of you have. Where do you see? This is a question, and I'm going to come on screen for this. Where do you ever see the Most High telling those that he scattered to all four corners of the earth? Where do you see him telling them, go and make yourself a place? I'll hold. So there is a split that even the evangelical Christians don't get. There is a split. I'm not saying it. Please look it up for yourself. You have the Zionists, and you also have the regular folks that are Jews that say, hey, I want nothing to do with that part because I know we're not supposed to even own any territory. I know we're not supposed to have any territory. If you don't believe me, look this up. But there are a bevy of them that know the difference. And when did we forget who the Rothschilds are? It's a question. It's just a question. Let's get into the genealogy of this group, shall we? So, right now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the family themselves. I have something that came from one of our subscribers, and it keeps it right where we need it to be. Okay? It keeps it right where we need it to be. I want everybody, if you do have TikTok, to go over and look at Betty R's channel. This comes from Betty R. She's one of our subscribers. I think she's a mod. But let's look at this. Here we go. I'm going to run it again. I'm going to run it again from the top. Okay, let's run it again from the top. So, what am I playing this for? Because I need the evangelicals to get it together. We got more. We've got more. I need the evangelicals to wake up and get it together. That's what I need. That's what I need. I need you to stop playing and I need you to get it together. That's the purpose of me showing that. Now we've got more. Let's go ahead and take a look at the actual genealogy. I want to break down Walter, who is the gentleman that the letter was written to. The letter was written to Lord Rothschild. Lionel Walter Rothschild, second Baron, Rothschild, Baron de Rothschild. He was born February the 8th, 1868, and he passed August 27, 1937. He was a British banker, politician, zoologist, and a soldier who was a member of the Rothschild family. As a Zionist leader, he was presented with the Balfour Declaration, which pledged British support for a Jewish national home in Palestine. Rothschild was the president of the Board of Deputies of the British Jews from 1825 to 1826. This is who we're talking about, right? We got to keep everything in perspective. I don't think that I would be nice if I didn't. Now, his earlier life, he was born in London as the eldest son and heir of Emma Louise von Rothschild and Nathan Rothschild, first Baron Rothschild, an immensely wealthy financier of the international Rothschilds financial dynasty and the first Jewish peer in England. The eldest of three children, Walter was deemed to have delicate health and was educated at home. As a young man, he traveled to Europe, attending the University of Bonn for a year before entering Magdalene College, Cambridge. In 1889, leaving Cambridge after 2 years, he was required to go into the family banking business to study finance. I need you to remember, which we're going to cover. We're going to go to Deuteronomy 28. Why? Because we need to. You need to know what you're looking at, and you need to know what side, if there's any, you're on, which you really don't need to side because truth and right don't have to have anybody defend it. But nonetheless, let's keep going. At the age of 7, he declared that he would run a zoological museum, and as a child, he collected insects and butterflies and other animals. Among his pets at the family home in Tring Park were kangaroos and exotic birds. As a boy, Rothschild was once dragged off his horse and assaulted by workmen while on a hunting ride near Tring, an experience he attributed to anti Semitism. Okay. And you in Europe. Okay. At 21, he reluctantly went to work at the family bank N. M. Rothschild and Son in London. He worked there from 1889 to 1908, and he evidently lacked any interest or ability in the financial profession. But it was not until 1908, at the age of 40, that he was finally allowed to give up. However, his parents established a zoological museum as a compensation and footed the bill for expeditions all over the world to seek out animals. He stood 6 feet 3 inches, 6 foot 3 inches. Does anybody else want to tell me who's extremely tall? Anybody else want to tell me who's extremely tall? I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about historically. Hey, Elite Belzo, what's up? How are you? Anybody want to say who else is extremely tall? But I'll hold. He was extremely tall, and he suffered from a speech impediment and was very shy. But he had his photograph taken riding a giant tortoise and drove a carriage harnessed to 4 zebras to Buckingham Palace to prove that zebras could be tamed. He never married. He never married, and he never had any children either that were legitimate. He had, illegitimate, but never legitimate. It goes on to say that Rothschilds had 2 mistresses, one of whom bore him a daughter. We're going to leave that there. We just got through seeing what Betty R. shared with us, which was very good, well put together, very needful. And here is the genealogy. I'm going to give you the genealogy on the same screen so that I don't have to click off. So here we go. The genealogy of the Rothschilds family. Now, it does say that it's all from a single source, but let's go on. Now, listen, we already know that things that you get on Wikipedia can definitely be, manipulated, or it's a very malleable website. You can do whatever you want to do with it. But here's my reason for sharing this, because we need to see what we have to see. The Rothschild family is a European family of German Jewish origin. That is, I chuckle because I want people to get the phrases in and of themselves. A German Jewish origin that established European banking and finance houses from the late 18th century. The Rothschild family was founded by Mayer Amschel Rothschild, the founding father of international finance. Wanting his sons to succeed on their own and expand the family business across Europe, he had his eldest son remain in Frankfurt while his four other sons were sent to different European cities with the mission of establishing a financial institution to invest in business and provide banking services. Now, there was endogamy within the family, and it was an essential part of the Rothschild strategy to in order to ensure the control of their wealth remained in family hands. Through their collaborative efforts, the Rothschilds rose to prominence in a variety of banking endeavors, including loans, government bonds, and trading in bullion. Their finance afforded investment opportunities, and during the 19th century, they became major stakeholders in large scale mining and rail transport ventures that were fundamental to the rapid expanding of industrial economies of Europe. 5 lines of the Austrian branch of the family were elevated to the Austrian nobility, being given hereditary boundaries. And of the Habsburg Empire, the Emperor of France II in 1816. The British branch of the family was elevated to British nobility by Queen Victoria in 1855. Queen Victoria had initially disliked the proposal by Prime Minister William Ewart Gladstone to raise Lionel de Rothschild to the peerage. However, in 1855, Victoria raised Lionel's son, Nathan Rothschild, first Baron Rothschild, to the peerage. He became the first Jewish member of the House of Lords. Now, I want to take us to a little bit of history because you got to have it all together. Because if you say that these people are those people, I want you to tell me how they're those people. Okay. The purpose for me sharing what we're about to go into is for everybody to get it together because there are so many people that are actually splitting. I have friends who are literally arguing. They're at odds with one another right now. Oh, you got to pray for those people. You've got to do this for those people. Listen, do you realize how many people lived in that area before this declaration was given? Do you know exactly what they did to clear the path for these individuals? So, here's Deuteronomy 28. And it shall come to pass that if thou wilt hearken diligently unto the voice of thy Lord thy God to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God. Blessed shalt thou be in the city, and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Blessed shall the fruit of thy body be, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of the sheep. Blessed shall the basket be by thy store. Blessed shall thou be. I read everything in context. I don't want to give you pieces, okay? Blessed shall thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shall thou be when thou goest out. We used to call this the A part of the scripture. If you do this, then you get this. All right. Verse 7 says, the Lord shall cause thine enemies to rise up against thee to be smitten before thy face. Thou shalt come out against thee one way and flee before thee 7 ways. The Lord shall command the blessings upon thee in thy storehouses and in all that thou settest thine hand unto, and he shall bless thee in the land which the Lord God giveth thee. The Lord God giveth thee. It goes back to what I said at the top. Where are you and why are you where you are if he did not give it to you? It didn't say anything about the way that this transpired, giving it to the rich. We're talking about a group of individuals who are supposed to be destitute. If you want to identify a group, you have to identify them based on what the traits are. Continues with, the Lord shall establish thee in the holy place unto himself, as he has sworn unto thee, if thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God and walk in his way. And all the people of the earth shall see that thou art called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of thee. And the Lord shall make thee plenteous in goods, in the fruit of thy body, and in the fruit of thy cattle, and in the fruit of thy ground, in the land which the Lord sware unto thy forefathers to give. This is what is being used, okay? The Lord shall open unto thee his good treasure, the heaven, to give the rain unto thy land in his season, and to bless all the work of thine hand. And thou shalt lend to many nations, and thou shalt not borrow. And the Lord shall make thee the head and not the tail. And thou shalt be above only, and thou shalt not be beneath. If thou hearken, if thou hearken unto the commandments of the Lord thy God, which I command thee this day, to observe and to do them, and thou shalt not go aside from any of the words which I command thee this day, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods and serve them. Now, we all know the story that there was disobedience. We all know that they were all scattered to all four corners of the earth because, even as Moses said, they were a hard headed people. They were a stiff necked people. They did not listen, and therefore they were all scattered. And he said, I'm going to bring them back when I'm ready, and he'll do it when he's ready. So here is the curses of disobedience. But it shall come to pass that if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments. By the way, these are individuals who read the Talmud. I'm going to put it out there. I'm not going to play, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. These are all individuals that are over there that go by the Talmud. If any of you know what that text or parts of the text read, the Talmud. This country, right, that we're talking about right now, statistically has the highest amount of LGBTQ individuals. They run that flag very high and very proud, and they are a proud people who believe this. They also are the biggest country that has the least belief in any God. They've done several surveys. I'm putting this out there so that we can tie it all together, so that they can tie it all together. Oh, Ronnie is here. Let me see if I can send him, if he's available. Let me see if I can send him a link. Thank you for putting that out there. But yeah, so what is it that we're doing? There is so much more that needs to be understood. Really, Ronnie, I'm sending you a link if you're available. I would love for you to join us. Here's the link here. All right. So let's go on. So as we continue to read, it says here that if you don't do what he commands you to do this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. And we know that this happened because we know that he did spread them out. Verse 16 says, Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall thou be in thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shall thou be when you come in and when you go out. And verse 20, it says, The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexing, and rebuke, and thou shalt settlest thine hand unto for to do, unto thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly. Because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. This place, these people don't even do the commandments in the way that they should. Here's the deal. We're talking about the bankers. We're not talking about the true people of Yasharal or Israel. In tandem with that, Israel is a people. It is not a place. Now, it is not a place. They're not supposed to even own a place. Ronnie and I were passing messages a while ago, top of this week. We were talking about Cyrus, and we were talking about how he was a type of Balfour because he was the one that came in and said, okay, here's a place for you. As you know, the majority of the children of Israel always wanted what everybody else had, and they always wanted somebody else to give it to them. They didn't want to be obedient and wait on the Most High. They always wanted somebody else to do something for them. And it's still that way today if you really follow, if you're tracking what I'm saying. Let me get this together, Ronnie. I'm not sure if you're here. Let me double check. Yep. All right. So we're going to go on and we're going to continue. So the Lord shall smite thee with a consumption, with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the word, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew. That is total death and devastation whenever you get down to that point, and shall pursue thee until thou perish, and thy and thy heaven that is over your head shall be brass, and the earth that is under your feet is going to be iron. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder and dust. From heaven shall it come down upon thee until you be destroyed. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth, and thy carcass shall be meat unto the fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. Ain't no man gonna come and say, shoo, get away, get away. Verse 27 says, the Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, wherefore thou canst not be healed. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart, and thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in the darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt only be oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man is going to lay down with her. Thou shalt build a house, and thou shalt not dwell in. You're going to plant a vineyard, and you will not gather of the grapes. Your ox shall be slain before your eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored unto you. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have no rescue them to rescue them. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto other people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long. And there shall be no might in thine hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up. And thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always, so that thou shalt be mad in the sight, for the sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. The Lord shall smite the knees, in the knees, and in the legs, and the sore botch, and that cannot be healed, from the sole of thy foot unto the top of your head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve with other gods, wood and stone, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. It doesn't say that there is a place that they will go and have somebody else create for them. And someone would argue, well, it would take a person to do that anyway. Well, it would also take a person to understand that the wealth that we just read about the richest people on the planet, 6'3", 6'5", 6'6", somebody just got through putting in there who actually is that tall, these big tall people. It would actually take somebody who wasn't these people to have that attributed unto them. Somebody who's not these people, somebody who are as these people are now, that are complete Zionists, who absolutely say that they're Zionists. I'm not saying anything wrong. They say they are Zionist Jews. And there's another side that says we want nothing to do with it. Thou shalt carry much seed into the field, and thou shalt gather but a little, for the locust is going to eat it up. Thou shalt plant vineyards, and you're going to dress them up, but you're not going to drink of the wine, nor you're going to gather the grapes. You're not going to take any of them, for the worms are going to eat those. You're going to have olive trees throughout all the coasts, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for the olive shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. All the trees and the fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, that thou shalt come down very low. I don't see any of that that's attributed to these people. And we can't say that the first portion would be for these people as it relates to their wealth, because there's not been the obedience that it takes to attain that. There's always the A. Here is the deal. If you do A, then B is going to be for you. But as we know, they've never done A. So A could not be for them because they've been disobedient and they are imposters. I want to look specifically at what we're dealing with right now. There is something that I'm going to show you guys as it relates to the wealth and as it relates to the military, military might and all of this stuff. Here it is. Let me give this to you because as it relates to their military might and as it relates to the stuff that they've got going on, they don't have it. The people of Palestine do not have it. If you compare the two, the only ones that have it are the people that live in Israel. So we're going to take a glance at that. I'm not, the reason why you've not seen me here is because I'm really not getting into the whole rigmarole. I don't even know what anybody else has already said. I don't know what has already been done. But what I do know is we have some wonderful people that are here, that are on our channel, that share a great deal of information on a daily basis. And I thank you for that. I thank everybody, those who have been able to give and to share stories and links and things of that nature. Thank you so much. So here's where we're going. I want you guys to look at something. All right. There is no power that these individuals have that would allow them the ability to be able to fend or fight for themselves. Now, anything that you know of, Hamas and all that stuff, I'm going to venture to say it's my thought process that that was created, but it wasn't created by those who are there. Could have been created by somebody else. And I'm going to leave that right there. But here is, if you juxtapose the two, let me make this smaller so you can see where it comes from. All right, the conflict or a massacre is what it's called. Conflict or a massacre. Palestine has no army. What does Israel have? Ground forces of 513,000 personnel. Several technologies developed in Israel incorporated. Merkava main battle tank. And then you have the word I can't pronounce. It looks like Ashrats, armored personnel carrier, Iron Dome missile defense system, Trophy active protection system for vehicles, and the Galil and Tabar assault rifles. That does not sound like the disobedient people that we know were scattered to all four corners of the earth. They literally have an army. They have no navy, and yet Israel has the Israeli Navy with 20,000 personnel, 64 battleships, and 5 class missiles, the Sa'ar 5 class missile corvettes. Palestine has no air force. The Israeli Air Force is 89,000 personnel, 684 aircraft, including a 4 Skyhawk, F-4 Phantom, F-5 Eagle, F-16 Fighting Falcon, and F-35 Lightning II as well. The military budget for Palestine is 0 per annum. And if you look on the other side, they have weapons of mass destruction, including 80 to 400 nuclear warheads. The GDP per capita for this country is approximately $876. The military budget is $20.5 billion per annum on the other side, plus $146 billion, the United States military aid to Israel to date. 43% of the people on the other side of the population here, aged 0 to 14, median age, entire population 17.4. Their per capita GDP on the other side is a little lower as far as being lined up, is 42.823. 42,823. The water supply is entirely controlled by Israel. And on the other side, Israeli citizens entitled to visa-free or visa on arrival access to 161 countries and territories. The energy supply is entirely controlled by Israel on the other side. 62.5% of the population aged 18 to 64 is what matches up with over here on this side right here, because it's all off here, okay? So the entire population is stateless, no residents, able to leave. They can't go. The universal health care for them here, they have it. It's ranked the best, number 3 in the world. Number 3 in the world. The world's descent densest population labeled unavailable place by the United Nations. Now, this one here on this side is the autonomous weapons systems stationed around Gaza Strip, prohibiting Gaza residents from leaving. It prohibits them from leaving. And the story that got us all here together this afternoon was Israel telling them to go on and go beyond it, but be careful of the gate. Did anybody remember that part? Be careful of the gate. That's what they just said. Be careful of the gate that's around this particular area. Now, what's going to happen if they go towards the gate? Are they going to deactivate the gate? Does the gate have anything necessary for us to notice because they mentioned it? What does that mean? It warns civilians not to approach the area of a security fence. What does that mean? What's being said here? What is being said? We've got to pay attention and we got to connect all the dots so that your mind is not being used as a playground. And this is the main reason why I'm sharing this with you right now, is because even though there are a lot of other pieces of information that I could bring to you, thank you, AG Silver Bullet. Thank you. There's over 1.1 million people that they're telling they have to move. You've got to go south. Approximately 1.1 million people have to move. And the same order has applied to all of the UN staff and those sheltered in UN facilities, including the schools, the health centers, as well as the clinics. So let's put it in perspective. Don't be tripping and wondering, running around, oh, this is terrible, look at this. Stay off those news lines. Don't be so hard up for gossip that we start to get into all of the weeds. Because if we start to get into the weeds, we're going to forget, most assuredly, the foundation with which all of this was built. You cannot forget these individuals. And the irony is that we often talk about that particular family. We talk about that family often. We talk about all of the 13. And now all of a sudden, we literally have people who were raised together, going to churches together, just dividing themselves and arguing because one believes that something that somebody sent to somebody else was anti-Semitic in nature. And you need to be standing with them. And these are the same people who claim to be the Bible-believing people. Now, get this. Remember what I told you. We know that there are a lot of Protestant, there are a lot of evangelical people, right? And I got to bring this back up because we did a 7-hour live, and I know it probably got buried, but we did do a lot of the articles at the top. Today, we're definitely not going that long at all, but that was an evening. But here, I want to show you guys again. Here. I'm going to go back here. I've got to go back here because if I don't go back here, people are going to get lost in the sauce. And this is, I'm present this stuff. And for those of you who do follow this channel, for those of you who do follow me, you know that I try to keep it as real as I can. And I know that they have used a lot of Black evangelicals and churches, sports people who are pastors and things of that nature. They use a lot of Black people. This took place, and I knew there was a reason. The Black Caucus members visit Israel, and there's also Rwanda on a trip that was focused on common ground. Now, remember what I said the other day when I presented this story. I shared with you that at that time, the seated president had not had an audience with Netanyahu. And yet, we have all these Yahoos right there with him. All of them are going back to their communities, and they're all going back to their churches. You better follow me. Y'all better track with me. Track what I'm saying. All of these people are going back to their churches and they're telling them because they have firsthand seen this man. They have been there firsthand and they have no clue who this person is. They have no clue about the history. They have no clue that they're living in a fantasy. This is like Fantasy Island. This is Fantasy Island. But let's get on with the story because it's important to note that these are the people that are running around right now on TikTok, not them, but the people from their cities, because these are either are the mouthpieces. These are the mouthpieces. These 9 people, a group of 9 members of the Congressional Black Caucus visited Israel. Now, this was September 5th. On a delegation sponsored by the AIPAC, the Affiliated American Israel Education Foundation. The group has continued to go on to Rwanda after that. But the spokesperson by the name of Nikema Williams, a new co-chair of the Congressional Black Caucus on Black-Jewish Relations, who is participating in the trip, told the Atlanta Journal-Constitution that the trip aims to educate members on Israel and Rwanda's efforts to build common ground while developing and growing socially, culturally, and economically out of tragedy. So what they're doing here is they're juxtaposing a quote-unquote plight. The sad part about it is these very same individuals do not remember any of the colonization that went on here in the United States as it relates to Europeans. And this is the identical story that went on when you're looking at that 1917 declaration that was written. That is exactly what happened. You had the Indians allegedly roll out their welcome mat, and people came on, and this is the story, the way that they've told it. They welcomed them. And in return, they gave them blankets full of smallpox. They released dogs out of the ships, mastiffs. As soon as they got on the land, allegedly, they tore through the Indians' bodies, the Aborigine, the people who were here at that time. But the same exact colonization story that we hear here on this side of the tracks is the same exact colonization story, if not worse, that went on over there. Because for years, they went in after they started to bring in all these other individuals, and they just ransacked them. They went in through Palestine and they began to just bulldoze the houses, tear the houses down, displace people and push them back. But here's what you need to know to prove what I'm telling you may be right, may not be, but it might be. I might be onto something, is the fact that this man just showed us at the top of the program today what his plans were for that area. To have an area that could be all the way across. He said going through Egypt, going into Egypt, by way of Egypt, going past India, going into Europe. They would be able to have an area that they did not require any maritime glitches. Did you hear that? And when you saw that, all you saw was Egypt on one side, the other country on the other side, and a little bitty thumb, which is Jerusalem or Israel. But you still do not see these people. I submit that what we are looking at is a land clearing that has 3 prongs. Land clearing that has 1 prong to clear the land and to push further back the individuals and the inhabitants that were originally there when Europe decided, under Britain specifically, to make sure that they were able to give these folks some place to go so their relatives had a place that they could create of their own. The second piece, it was also a way for them to clear the land so that they could do this particular project that he has, right? And then the third and most important piece, God forbid it should drag on this long, especially by the fact that we are now there, could be a way for us to prevent ourselves from having an election next year. May not happen. I could be totally off. And this is just my opinion. If we were all sitting around having coffee, and then you would throw your opinion in the hat and we'd chat about that, we'd still love each other when we were done. But we're having a conversation, and unfortunately, you're not here with me. So I'm just throwing my comment out there in the hat. You tell me what you think. It could be that. But one thing we know for sure, and two things we know for certain, is that people are perishing over there. They're definitely perishing. And it's not about a matter of picking a side. It's about using history, and it's about looking at the character of the individuals and the players. Because at this point, they are, in Shakespearean fashion, playing out all the biblical narratives that you could possibly push. And they're fast tracking them. But be not deceived, for the Most High is not mocked. That which a man sows, he gonna reap it. And we're gonna watch it. Stay covered. Make sure that you do your level best to do what you need to do to protect yourself and your family. Don't listen to a lot of the gossip that's out there. Don't listen to a lot of the things that people want you to be moved by. Don't move to the right or to the left. Don't do any of that. Remember what I just showed you as to who these individuals are. We had Betty R. Betty R's story is down below right now inside of the description. I want you guys to make sure that you go and follow her. Make sure you go follow her. But I don't want anybody to lose sight of what this is. This is a game. It's a tragic game. And it's a sad game. And it's a game that tells you make sure you keep your car filled up. It's a game that tells you make sure you got your T's crossed and your I's dotted. Make sure you take care of home base. Now, another thing, totally off of this, but I do believe that they are connected. There were 13,000. I'm going to show you guys all of these individuals that are being released throughout the United States now. I believe these are sleeper cells that are now being activated, but I could be wrong. Again, we're just having a conversation as if we were all together having coffee. In San Diego, there was 13,000 people. And they had no place to go. They were at a shelter. 13,000 were let out. They were released on the streets of San Diego. Let me give this to you guys so you can see the entire screen. Okay. Hello to everybody. All right. San Diego has released 13,000 migrants onto its streets over the past couple of days. Let me give you the entire screen because we need to go someplace else with this as well. Okay. We're going to go to Biloxi, my hometown, where I was born. All right. Get this guy off the screen. All the ads. I should have went over to the other side, but I hate the little guy. All right. The Microsoft side. As thousands of people continue to be admitted into the United States, let me go back up so you can see the highlighted. San Diego has released 13,000 migrants, illegal aliens, onto its streets over the past month as it continues to be overwhelmed by the influx over the border. As thousands of people continue to be admitted into the United States daily under the current immigration policies, cities and towns across the Southwest are breaking under the enormous strain, and officials don't know how to cope. San Diego authorities are receiving 500 people a day and continue to squeeze as many families with children into limited shelter space. It had the limited shelter space that it has, but everyone else is dropped off at makeshift transit centers to make their way out of town. Here's a quote. Many don't know where they are, that this is San Diego. This is the San Diego region. The nearest airport is San Diego, and how to get to their final destinations. That was a quote from Paulina Reyes Perez, managing attorney for the Immigrant Defender Law Center's cross-border initiative. This is what she told the Associated Press. She continues with, that's it. That is what we're trying to provide support with. Now, the migrants who cross into the United States and hand themselves into the Border Patrol officers are kept in custody for a few days while their paperwork is checked and their identities and fingerprints are recorded as they are assessed to see if they have a claim to stay in the United States. Here's the question. Where he from? What is going on where there's so much chaos going on all over the world? Where he from? Let me finish. It says that after they are either denied entry and deported, or as in this case, the over the 2 million people since Joe Biden became president, they're given paperwork and then they're just released into the United States. This presents a logistical nightmare for places like San Diego in California or El Paso and Brownsville in Texas, as they have to deal with thousands of newly arrived people a week, many of whom have little money to get them to their final destination in the United States, wherever that may be. Now, reports have previously shown that 95% of the newly arrived illegal aliens move on from their arrival point in the United States, with the top destination cities being New York, Los Angeles, Houston, Miami, and Chicago. These are men. I say this every time we show these photos, but these are men. Look at how clean. That's a Gucci shirt. That's Gucci. Are you guys paying really close attention? Because that's Gucci. Do you have Gucci in the house? Are you wearing Gucci? Do you have a Gucci shirt? Do you have Gucci shorts? Do you have Gucci pants? Gucci. They walked all the way here? Look how clean they are. Look at that. Adidas pants and a Gucci shirt. Looks like he might be a Sikh. But these are men. There's one woman right there. But these are all men. Recently arrived migrants from the United States border charge their phones and stock up on supplies at the makeshift transit station at a San Diego parking log. Says San Diego parking log. I'm saying it right. The city is out of shelter space and they're releasing the migrants into these makeshift stations. Here's where they're going. Los Angeles, 29,883, which is not true. I believe there's many more. The rest of the United States, 514,950. Chicago, 19,910. Harris County, Texas, 19,001. New York, 66,117. The total number of migrants led into the country in just 6 months is 671,721. Those are the ones that passed through. Why am I bringing this up? Miami-Dade, Florida, 21,860. Because if you got this many people that you can't keep your fingers on and you're so nimble, you're so quick that you're going to give money and do all these things, these cats could be armies. And I'm saying that. They could be armies. Let me know what you think. That's a lot of people. And those are a lot of men. I'm just saying. That's not all. There have been other people who have been released into the United States in places like Biloxi. They have a migrant problem now. Yeah. They're coming in droves. Let me show you. Yeah. A migration pattern data for Biloxi, Mississippi, but I want to give you the actual stories. This was from September the 25th. All right. September the 25th. Let me show you. I'm going to give you a better story than just this one. I don't want to deal with the normal places. I want to bring it home. Biloxi, influx of people at the border. They're going into Biloxi. Is this Biloxi? Is this Biloxi? Could it be true? Could it be? Let me show you. Because there in Biloxi, that is the, but it's far away. It's actually the Gulf of Mexico. Nope, that's not the Biloxi story. So you're going to play with me today, but that's fine. You guys look it up on your own because that wasn't even a part of what we were supposed to be talking about today. So look that up on your own. But they're literally in places like Biloxi, Mississippi now. So whenever you find people that are just pulling in like this and squatting, there's a problem. There's a problem here. I remember what Barack Obama said. He said that when he left office, and he always used to laugh and chuckle at stuff. you know, if I wanted to do if I wanted to do another term, people would actually they would actually live. Or if I could take somebody else's time and just run with theirs, I could do it. I could be the president again. I could have it. I could start my own army. This dude was never lying. He was not joking. When he said things, he said it because he meant it. That's right, because he meant it. So now, let me pull this up and see if this is at the Sun Herald. Oh, they took the story down. Were unable to locate the story. Sure you are. Oh, well, you guys gonna have to look it up for yourself. But suffice it to say that yeah, they are hanging out. Yep, they're hanging out. President of Croatia visited Biloxi. I wonder why. So there's a lot of places that are run now, certain areas and spots that have mayors that are Democrat and, people who are Democrat in certain areas, and they're just running amok. They're just running amok. So nonetheless, I'm going to let you guys go. But yeah, I want you guys to look at this. Now, I want you guys to pull this up. Ronnie just sent this to me that Israel is using white phosphorus on people. I don't know where we can find that out. If you have a link to that, Ronnie, send me the link because I don't see a link here. Let me look it up and see. Hmm. Wow. Wow. I got it. You don't got to send it. I got it. Really? So you're gonna use it on the whole people because you said, first off, how's anybody gonna sneak in there? Ronnie, how's anybody gonna sneak in? How
Yeah,
do you sneak into a place that is that heavily secured?
I would like to say this. I'm not saying that Israel is using white phosphorus on the population.
They said it
I'm
right
I'm
here in the
I'm
story.
saying that it is reported that Israel has used white phosphorus on the population.
Mhm.
That's what I want to say.
No, I see it right here. I have it right here. Here's the article. And again, we're not saying this. This comes from NBC News, October 13th, 2023 at 12:28 p.m. Central Time. Human rights a human rights watchdog group said Thursday that Israel's military has used white phosphorus munitions in recent days in Gaza and Lebanon, weapons that can cause severe burns and are considered particularly dangerous for civilians due to their indiscriminate nature. It goes on to say that a spokesperson for the Israel Defense Forces said the current accusation made against the IDF regarding the use of white phosphorus in Gaza is unequivocally false. The IDF has not deployed the use of such munitions. This comes from the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He did
Right.
not respond to a request for comment. The NBC News, which did not have reports present when the strikes occurred in Gaza and Lebanon, has not been able to independently verify the Human Rights Watch claims. White phosphorus munitions can potentially cause burns and irritation, liver and kidney, as well as lung and heart and bone damage, as well as death, according to the CDC. International law allows for certain uses of white phosphorus, such as creating smoke screens or generating light. But human rights groups say that the deployment of white phosphorus in areas where it could harm civilians or via airdrop is prohibited by international human rights laws. I want to remind everybody of the comment that was made, a very careless and callous comment that was made about these people. And I want you to see who said it just a few minutes back because we read it. And I'm going to remind you what he thinks of them because he said it. I didn't. Ronnie, have you been watching very long? I saw, I think it was one of our mods mentioned you were in the chat. I think it
Yeah,
was.
I was in and out. I was in and out, and then I saw that you had invited me. But yeah, I
When you
didn't.
go ahead.
No, I was just saying I haven't been fully involved, but every chance that I got, I was peeking in.
Well, I want to show this to you because this is what was stated earlier, and it was by none other than Netanyahu himself. And it's so funny. I have a thumbnail for the running of this particular story here that we have that I'm going to show again, but it's actually a video right now. And what he says, what he says is a trip because it tells you exactly what he thinks about them as people. I'm gonna show you guys right here for those who you know never gets old, right? Let me go ahead and bring it over. Everybody that you put in Saudi Arabia, you put. These people don't even look like their natural origin anymore. I'm listening to this guy as he's talking, and the people who are over there right now don't even look like themselves anymore. But here it is. I want us to look at this.
For a visionary corridor that will stretch across the Arabian Peninsula and Israel. It will connect India to Europe with maritime links, rail links, energy pipelines, fiber optic cables. This corridor will bypass maritime checkpoints, or choke points rather, and dramatically lower the cost of goods, communication, and energy for over 2 billion people. What a historic change for my country. You see, the land of Israel is situated in the crossroads between Africa, Asia, and Europe. And for centuries, my country was repeatedly invaded by empires passing through it in their campaigns of plunder and conquest elsewhere. But today, as we tear down the walls of enmity, Israel can become a bridge of peace and prosperity between these continents. Peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia will truly create a new Middle East.
Do you want to comment on that, Ronnie, before we continue? Ronnie, do you want to comment on that before we continue?
Yeah, pardon me. Yeah, I'm definitely not qualified to speak on that per se, but I find it quite interesting to say the least.
Okay. All right, let's go.
To understand the magnitude of the transformation that we seek to advance, let me show you a map of the Middle East in 1948, the year Israel was established.
Now pay attention to
Here's
what he
Israel
says.
in 1948. It's a tiny country, isolated, surrounded by a hostile Arab world. In our first
Hold on. How is that considered a hostile Arab world when the Europeans put you guys there? I
Well,
submit that everybody that was around them, that particular place, because Israel ain't a place, it's a people, they were all pretty much cohabiting with each other without any issues as
well, that's
far
a good
as we know. Go ahead.
that's a good word. Cohabitation, at least relatively peaceably. That lets you know his standpoint and viewpoint, or his vantage point, if he's saying a hostile environment, because the colonizers would call that area a hostile environment. Every other community around that area, they relatively peaceably cohabitate. So that is an interesting perspective.
Well, I have Mary Cleveland, and I'd like for us to look at the passage. Thank you for putting your comment up, Mary. It says, "You twist scripture. God gave the Jews that land in perpetuity and said, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed."
Can I say
Read,
something to that?
read Genesis 12, 2 through 3, and it looks like Psalms 122. Pray for Israel. Thank you for your comment, Mary. Yes, go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay. As far as what Miss Mary Cleveland posted, absolutely, hallelujah, you're exactly spot on.
And you're obviously incorrect. There's an area where you're spot on, and then there's an area where you
No,
are in
no, no.
error.
The
Her
words that
her words that she
were
said
typed
are accurate,
are absolutely
absolutely accurate,
100% accurate.
but it's misdirected in that it's being conflated. And that's okay because we've conflated it for several years. For several years, it's been conflated. But nonetheless, let's go on. But Mary, I appreciate your comment, but it is truly stated, but it is misdirected. The heart in which what you're saying is absolutely spot on, but it's not for the people that you're thinking it's for.
There's a misinterpretation that has been perpetuated on the general populace at large, and we've eaten and partaken at the wrong table. Yeah, we've been manipulated to believe certain slants. And I did hear you state, your train of thought, and you brushed on some, you brushed upon some of your things that you were researching. So you did cover those bases already. So I'm not going to reiterate anything, but yeah.
Yeah, Avis Swoop says Ashkenaz came from Europe. Came from Europe, those in Israel. So let's finish listening to what he has to say here. Let's go.
For 7 years, we made peace with Egypt and Jordan. And then in 2020, we made the Abraham Accords, peace with another 4 Arab states. Now look at what happens when we make peace between Saudi Arabia and Israel. The whole Middle East changes. We tear down the walls of enmity. We bring the possibility of prosperity and peace to this entire region, but we do something else. You know, a few years ago, I stood here with a red marker to show the curse, a great curse, the curse of a nuclear Iran. But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing.
Okay, Marty.
The blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change, another pivot of history. Now, as the circle of peace expands, I believe that a real path towards a genuine peace with our Palestinian neighbors can finally be achieved. But there's a caveat. It has to be said here, forcefully. Peace can only be achieved if it is based on truth. It cannot be based on lies. It cannot be based on endless vilification of the Jewish people. Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas must stop spreading the horrible anti-Semitic conspiracies against the...
You want to comment?
No, he spoke truth a moment ago. He spoke truth a moment ago.
Okay.
The Jewish people and the Jewish state. I mean, he recently said that Hitler wasn't an anti-Semite. You can't make this up. But he did. He said that. And the Palestinian Authority must stop glorifying terrorists. They must stop its ghoulish pay-to-slay policy of giving money to Palestinian terrorists for the murder of Jews.
All right.
That's loaded.
Yeah, it is loaded. And that's the reason why I had to click off. It was a very loaded. And the bad part about it is if you look at the timeline with which this was said, you have the first thing where you had all of the evangelicals, because, most Black folk are, jumping and shouting. That's just the way that we were raised, a lot of us. They had all of the people there. They came in. And then, yeah, they do. They do, Trace. They do. The only side that I want to look at is the side of what is the historical piece, Trace. And I love the way you always bring balance. I love Trace. Always brings in balance. Just remember, they want everyone to take a side. It doesn't matter which side, just take one or the other so the banks can keep funding both sides. That sounds exactly like
That's spot
the
on.
Ashkenazis, right? It was the Khazarians that funded both sides of war. I
Yeah.
think it was them. Yeah, that funded both sides. One of the two.
Among others.
Yeah,
Um, but in general, no, I do want to make I do want to make a fine line more visible. Uh, we can't conflate the word terrorist and parallel it to Palestinian. Now, no matter what side you definitely lean toward, let's just look at it from a broader perspective. The You might look at Hamas, the authority that runs the Palestinian state, quote unquote state, as terrorist, depending on how you view or where you view from, or from where you view. But nonetheless, the people themselves might or might not be terrorists. You just can't link the two together. We're, they're human beings trying. All they want to do is go to work in peace, come home, get a sandwich in peace, watch some TV in peace, some place that they can call their home. And that's the majority of the people, but we can't turn the citizens, the specific, people group into monsters just because.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I just want to make that clear, because that was loaded. What he said,
Hmm.
it's making it seem like, uh, at least from where he stands, or seemingly so from where he stands, it sounds like you want to paint a broad stroked picture that Palestinians are just monsters. And that's not necessarily the case. There's, good, quote unquote, and evil, quote unquote, people in every society and,
Agreed.
and in every demographic.
Agreed. I agree with that, and I do think that it's a pretty broad stroke. It's an unfair stroke, but my main goal in bringing this up and pulling back so far because I'm looking at all of that I can see that I choose to watch because I really have not been keeping up. I get articles, I know what's going on, and I know that it is. And let me ask you this, Ronnie, do you think, because this is what I was about to say, do you think that they are rushing a timeline? Because I said it earlier that in, Shakespearean fashion, they're playing out a role. It really does feel like that. What are your thoughts on that idea?
Yeah, oh man, I really don't want to bring my thoughts to the table because
I mean,
everyone has
as it
an opinion.
relates to my
No,
comment.
but no, but seriously, it maybe, possibly, it definitely you could argue that, you could debate that, and be seemingly spot on, because I will say this, depending if we just keep our eyes to exactly what's going on, how it plays out, it definitely has the potential to mark off many boxes in the biblical prophetic. I will say that it will check off many boxes prophetically if this continues to play out in a certain manner. And we can discuss those things specifically, but being that's the case, everything does have a timeline. And in actuality, uh, Christians that profess to believe the Bible, they're the most uninformed when it comes to what time it is.
Well, I know that I was when I was, because having gone to Bible college, you learn what they teach us. That I learned what I was taught. Um,
These
I got my grades and my ordination and all that stuff based on passing certain classes that I was taught ways
it's
to say and
theology and
think.
seminary,
Yeah,
but
basically cemetery.
oh,
But for me, I know that, and that's I think the
but
reason why I say the things the way that I do in such a bold fashion because having had, as you have studied, having to have studied it as deep as I have, anything else that I touch, I study it with the same fervor. And so when I come to these types of things and when I hear people like him make these kinds of statements, and then at the same token show us how you're going to make even more money right here.
1948.
Let me show you right here. He's going to show you
Between
how he's going
Saudi
to make even
Arabia
more.
and Israel.
Look at this.
The whole Middle East changes.
But the whole Middle East is not in their opinion going to change for the betterment of the Palestinians, because looking at that map, they're not anywhere on there. Okay, they're actually not on any map that you can find anyway now, anyhow. But they're going to clear it all up and they're going to pull it all the way through. And what is it going to be for? What are they going to do?
We tear down the walls of enmity. We bring the possibility of prosperity and peace to this entire region. But we do something else.
Prosperity.
You know, a few
Capitalism.
years ago, I stood
Absolutely.
here with a red marker to show the curse, a great curse, the curse of a nuclear Iran. But today I bring this marker to show a great blessing, the blessing of a new Middle East between Israel, Saudi Arabia, and our other neighbors. We will not only bring down barriers between Israel and our neighbors, we'll build a new corridor of peace and prosperity that connects Asia through the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel, to Europe. This is an extraordinary change, a monumental change, another pivot of history.
Okay, I've got your other story now, Ronnie. I want to pull that up on the screen now. That says a lot. That's very, very telling. That is very telling. That's why I said I felt like there were more than one or two prongs. It was like, three prongs of what's up.
Before we go there,
Yeah.
did you notice that through Asia all the way up into Europe, the gatekeeper, the how you pass through was the state of Israel.
Yeah.
So I guess they'll have a major port, which is
Yeah.
Tyre. In the scriptures, Tyre was a major port city. But yeah, so they have a lot to gain financially in all of that as well. So I guess that's what prosperity is.
So what you got here on the screen? This was on September the 30th. This was updated September 30th. It was actually published on the 29th of 2023. The naval station Norfolk will serve as a temporary home front for Britain's largest warship, HMS Prince of Wales, during its East Coast deployment. Go ahead, Ronnie. You talk.
No,
I can't.
I just scroll back down to the top. Well, scroll up to the top. Just look at that headline. It's just fascinating. So Norfolk, Virginia is officially the home and headquarters for the United Nations.
Correct.
And now the United States is serving as a home port for intercontinental naval warships. I find that fascinating. I find it's unreal to me. We're doing the service for the United Nations. We are the hub for the United Nations. It's wow. So we're not even doing our own bidding anymore. We're doing the bidding for the quote unquote global community at large. It's wow. We're not sovereign. This is definitely, we are sovereign, but we're sovereign on a intercontinental, international scale, and it literally is right in front of our face, showing us that this is moving towards the one world government. And the other opposing side would be, if you want to look at it from financial or economic terms, the opposing side of that one world government would be the BRICS nations. And it seems to me that's where we're headed. We're headed toward a I mean, sooner, later, whenever, but inevitably, we're moving towards a I hate to even say this trigger word, but a world war, a great war of epic proportions, that is going to finalize who is going to be the uh, international head or authority of the known world. Um, we are going to be what? Egypt, Rome, Babylon, Assyria, all over again. And we're going to conquer those Ottomans. We're going to conquer those Moors. We're going to conquer those Arabs. We're going to, conquer those others, if you will. And that's what it seems like it's headed. If you, I mean, of course, if you're just looking at it from black and white terms, um, from a two-party term, because they always want us to do a two-party, have a two-party mindset. So, yeah, but
duality.
But look at it. Norfolk is serving as the home port for another country's largest
warship.
naval vessel. That is remarkable to me. That is remarkable.
I want to thank Dovetail for supporting the channel before I forget. Thank you so much, Dovetail. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go ahead, kind sir.
Yeah, like this is going to be the norm. Like this is starting and it's right under our nose. We don't know about these things, but it's happening. And then when we see it, we just, okay, because we don't understand the larger implications of what's being shown to us or what's being presented or what's happening right before our very eyes. We don't see the larger picture. And man, United States is gone. We are the United Nation. I'm not even,
You're not joking.
Yeah, and I'm not even going to put an S, United Nations. I'm not even going to put an S where United means, it's singular. Like we are the United Nation. And it is literally going to be European versus Arab when it's all said and done. Just stating it broad stroke plainly. You know what I mean?
Right. To think that we literally have possession of their, and it was temporary, but I wonder if it's still there. The Naval Station Norfolk to serve as a temporary home port for British warship.
Yeah,
that's a contradictory of terms. Temporary home port.
Might be the first, but it definitely isn't going to be the last.
It definitely will not be the last.
If anything, it's setting precedents.
It's setting precedents. So the Naval Station Norfolk will serve as a temporary home port for Britain's largest warship, HMS Prince of Wales, during its East Coast deployment. Beginning Saturday, the British aircraft carrier will make multiple port calls to Naval Station Norfolk over the next few months as it practices carrier landings and launches into the Atlantic Ocean for the United Kingdom's F-35 Lightning stealth fighter jets. The vessel is one of the most powerful surface warships ever constructed in the United Kingdom, with a size of 70 meters by 280 meters, housing a max crew of 1,600 people. Wait a minute.
This is amazing.
Could they be carrying when they come? I'm just playing devil's advocate. So can I roll with it? Could they be bringing in 1,600 people each time they come and go back and forth? Because it clearly says that beginning Saturday, they will begin to, over the next few months, practice carrier landings and launches in the Atlantic Ocean for the United Kingdom's this big fighter jet. But are they coming in and out?
So the Joint Chiefs of Staff are located here. Are located in Norfolk, Virginia. That is the headquarters for the Joint Chiefs of Staff as well. So this was
about 3-4 years ago. Remember when they sort of had that big festival or whatever?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, but this has been their headquarters forever. Like this is where their headquarters is in Norfolk, Virginia. And so what this is this is joint militaries. there it's basically going to be war games, so we can know how to interact, on a whole, on a different level, on an intimate level, not just working together but interconnected militaries, because we're going to be one military. And of course I'm speculating on that, but I foresee that based on this, like I could see that we're just going to be one huge military. It's not going to be Britain, it's not going to be United States, it's just going to be military. It's just gonna but it's so ironic, because we were fighting against the British. We did not want them at all once upon a time to even set foot, much less port up. Like the redcoats are coming, like we're fighting them off, and now we're welcoming them with open arms, and trading secrets with each. It's amazing. I'm bewildered. But why am I? Why should I be? Like this. Everybody says it. Everybody everybody knows, the one world government, and it's relegated to the realm of conspiracy and all this and that. But it is right here, right in front of us right now. When we see it, why am I bewildered? I need to chill out. Like I just need to know that, yeah, of course, duh. And it's happening right now. Let us not be deceived. Let us not be blinded to the fact of really what's going on. And so what I'm doing is I'm just trying to connect dots for the larger picture. Like why?
But it's important to connect them. You know what I mean?
And then this thing that's playing out over there in Gaza right now. It's wow. These things are connected. These things are connected.
They have to be connected.
And if you really want to have a true spiritual set of glasses on, connect all these things to the end times prophecies in scripture. It all goes together.
My heart is all
going together.
It's all going. But look, Demita Miles is here. Hey, Demita, it's good to see you. Demita says, at this point, we have to know that the one world order has already happened. Absolutely. It's only been an illusion of sides.
Yeah, Miss Demita stays on point.
Doesn't she though? Doesn't she though? Girl, don't make me send you this link. We about to get up out of here in a few minutes. But yeah, I invited somebody else to come, and I hope that he's able to. Oh, he's doing something right now. He left me a message, and I'm not going to tell you guys who it is, but I saw that he had left me a message and said, "Hey, you want to come on here?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm taking care of something. I'm in an office." I hope he's done soon. Let me ask him if you're done soon.
Can I speak to the
sure? Why not? Go ahead.
Well, just aspects of the scriptures. Like this is, people are divided like beyond anything in the past. Like you say certain things, and people are either like, you could be pro-Israel, or like you're just a terrorist sympathizer. It's like so way far left and way far right. There's no in between. There's no actual basic thinking, level playing ground. It's just either way over here or way over there. And I see it in scripture when Yahushua, when the Gospels speak on how Yahushua was saying that in the end times, brothers will be hate brother, nations will be at war with nations. Like it's something houses will be divided internally, son against father, against son, daughter.
We see that.
It's on a whole other level.
It's on a totally different level, but we see it like every single day. And again, just to use the fact that we're talking about, in this particular instance, media, you see it all the time on media. You see it you're looking in the news and you're seeing all these different things that are going on. And it's creepy. It's a mess. But I really do want to focus on the fact that, in my impression, it just, to me, Ronnie, feels like they are using the quote unquote Bible to exact this out. It's like, oh, the Bible said, now let's go on ahead and put this out there. Oh, everybody likes to follow the Bible. Look at this, look at that. I don't know. I don't know. It just seems a bit
Okay,
contrived and a
okay,
bit
okay,
too convenient. What do
but
you
listen,
think? Go ahead.
whether it's a self-fulfilled prophecy, or prophecy that is just unfolding,
Mhm,
quote unquote, naturally or supernaturally, however you want to view it.
mhm.
No matter how it's progressing.
Absolutely. I
So
can see
so
that.
so Yah can use anything to have his will accomplished. And the interesting thing about that is many people want this thing to cease, or they're taking a stance on it, but the scriptures say that these things are going to happen and will happen, and it's very specific as far as the end game and the end results, how it's going to
Mm.
play out, and uh what the winning side looks like and what the losing side looks like. And then it even tells you who the winning side is and you know um who falls or what have you. It's
Mhm.
extremely specific. The thing, so what they do is they muddy the waters as far as who's who and what's what. That's what you don't know. Or that
Yes,
no, I'll take that back. That's what you think that you
that's
know,
what you
but you
think that you
you
know.
should have to. You might need to double check what you think that you know, because the people that told us these things are the people that are telling us. The people that told us all the truths that we know are the same people that are telling us lies.
Mm. That's a good point.
Let me say that again.
Say it again, because that's a
All
good point.
all the truths that we know, listen, that we know, all these truths that we know and argue about, these same truths, the people that told us those same truths are the same people that are telling us the lies. Marinate on
Mm.
it. Marinate on it.
Just sit in that sauce. Just sit in that sauce. Paula Nit says, "How do I get atheists to read the Bible? The Illuminati playbook. You might want to check it out." Yeah, I've heard about it, never read it. Demita says, "I do not think that any scripture is truth. The scripture is only manipulating us to take a side. I don't look to them for guidance." Avis Swoop says, "The United States government are all Nazis." Hello, peace, says Deidre Morris. And hello to Sandy and Betty R. We played your video earlier. I don't know how many people saw it or missed it, but I will again show it just so that everybody could see it, because it just bring what I like about that video, the way you put it together, is it really does just bring everything home. And that's what I really want everybody to do. Don't argue with family members or people that are around you about this topic, you guys, because it'll only cause dissension and unnecessary confusion. But what I do want you to do is to be well aware and well equipped with information. I gotta play it again. I'm sorry. I just have to. You've got to look at it again. Come on, let's go one more time and we'll be done. Let's do it again. Moritz Rothschild, 1830 to 1914. Then there's Emma Rothschild Bing, 1843 to 1918. Louis Rothschild, 1864 to 1942. And you've got Melanie, and you got Fred Schwab, and their child is Klaus Schwab. No, Mariana Schwab Rothschild. This is the mama. I jacked that up. Okay, one more. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna play one more time. Okay, really, honestly, that says so very much. That says so very, very much. That that says a lot. That says a whole lot. That says a lot. I don't know, Ronnie. What do you think? I think I really like Betty R. I really like Betty R. Betty R's she has such good stuff on her channels, and she's so underrated. She's so underrated. Joy Trujillo said, "Rotten basket of fruit."
Hmm.
I don't know what's your take on that. I mean, because it goes straight to Schwab, and everybody's like, "Oh no, he says he wants to do this. He wants to do the reset. He's gonna try to make us have this. He's gonna make us eat the bugs. Oh la la la." Okay, if that's the case and that's how you feel, how can you still say X, Y, or Z? I don't know. But we just have something coming in that Ronnie is going to share with us, and it is Israel-Hamas war. Israelis conduct raids in Gaza Strip as Gazans evacuate. So now let's get this right. They're the ones that went to the United Nations with the original story that we have today. They're the ones who went to the United Nations to say, hey, we need everybody to get out of there within the next 24 hours. We need 1.1 million people minimum to get out of the Wadu Ghazi, and we need the Wadu Gaza, and they need to go to the southern part of the Gaza Strip. We need it to happen. Now, according to what you see on the screen that Ronnie has just shared with us, Israel's military said late Friday that it entered the Gaza Strip to conduct raids targeting Hamas militants and as a part of an effort to locate Israeli hostages. Twin attacks hit Syrian airports. Damascus blames Israel. There's Aleppo, that is the capital. There's Syria, and there's Damascus. Little old Damascus, Ronnie. Simultaneous airstrikes hit Syria's international airports in Damascus and Aleppo, damaging the runways. Syria's state-run television reported Thursday, blaming neighboring Israel for the attacks. I'm not about to subscribe to you, so we're just going to stop it after I can read this. It says Syrian air defenses were responding to the attacks, which rendered both airports non-operational, according to the report. The attacks came as the Iranian foreign minister was expected to arrive in the country, and the Israel Defense Forces said that it didn't comment on reports in the foreign media. On Tuesday, the Israeli military said that it carried out artillery strikes in Syria after a number of mortars were launched toward northern Israel as fighting continued in the south in the wake of Saturday's surprise. It was not a surprise. That cannot be a surprise. Those individuals are well aware of what will happen around them. They really are.
Show the
So
graphic of the show the graphic of that map.
of the one in the Bible that you have, or in the one,
No, in the
if
Wall
I
Street
can,
Journal, the map.
let me see, because you
Just
have
scroll
to.
back up. Just scroll back up a
Okay,
tad.
let's go back. Oh, there you go. Look at it, little bitty thumb.
No, I'm talking about Damascus and Aleppo.
Hmm.
So those airports are bombed on. Syria's confirmed that Israel did it, and Israel has confirmed that they definitely did these attacks on, or they at least stopped the air traffic. So Syria is a sitting duck. These are the major airports in Syria. So my thing is this: when Syria comes into play, it's a whole other ball game.
Yeah,
It's a whole other ball game when Syria comes into play from the prophetic, because Syria has never been conquered. Damascus has never been conquered. But if you go to that link that I showed you, I just want to connect a dot real quick.
yeah. Let's go. I've got it.
So the state of Israel has bombed on Damascus, which is quite interesting, and I just want to make this okay, yeah, you pulled it up. I just want to make these this clear. Damascus has never ceased from being a city ever. Meanwhile, Isaiah 17 has a prophecy where Damascus is in a heap of rubble and is fully destroyed. Mind you, I'm going to say it again. In the history of Damascus, Damascus has never fallen. So this people can argue and say, "Oh, these prophecies they were relegated to the specific time era that the scripture was written, and it was talking about something that happened in the past." Isaiah 17, when it speaks on Damascus, this has never been the case historically. It's never ever happened. So I've always submitted that when Syria comes into play and when Damascus is involved, it's time to perk our ears up and to pay close attention as far as when everybody says, end time and end time.
Okay.
So Isaiah 17 says, the burden against Damascus, behold, Damascus will cease from being a city, and it will be in a ruinous heap. The cities of Arar are forsaken. They will be for flocks which lie down. No one will make them afraid. The fortress also will cease from Ephraim. The kingdom of Damascus and the remnant of Syria, they will be as the glory of the children of Yasharal, says Yah of hosts. In that day. Basically, Damascus falls in Isaiah chapter 17, and we're seeing artillery being launched at Damascus, and the airport isn't gone, but it's inoperable. This is a telltale sign of something. I'm just keeping my eyes open, and I just want your listeners to pay attention, to get that aspect and to pay attention a little bit more closely, because we are treading on biblical prophecy here. Or I'll say that. Let me take that back. Let me restate that. We are treading on potential biblical prophecy here. So, being a solid watchman on the wall, we have to pay attention to all of this from another aspect, from a spiritual aspect, from a kingdom-minded aspect.
Absolutely.
That's my angle. That's my focus, and that's what I wanted to bring to the table.
I'm glad you did. I want to thank Black Spring with Autumn for supporting the channel today. Thank you so very much for your love offering, Princess. It's good to see you in the place to be. There are a lot of different points here. Sandy Aaron says that it says further down that God is not pleased with Damascus being destroyed. It says, you've forgotten the rock of your salvation. There are a couple of other comments. I wanted to show what our dear sister Black Spring with Autumn says. Thankful for this stream, and we're thankful to have you. Thank you. Somebody doesn't like Kissinger. It seems like Catherine Z had something to say. And our sister Sandy, my sister, my alma bear, my fangirl, says Israel won't exist in 10 years. So, what else do you want to say about this passage for Damascus? Because I'll say this publicly. You've mentioned Damascus a couple of times over the past few years, and you said it just the other day. You were like, hey, they're tampering with this part of Syria. They're over here tampering with, with Damascus. What do you think? What do you think? I mean, I heard what you just said, but what do you think could come from this? Like verse 12.
That takes us exactly.
Verse 12.
Ooh, look. What's the second sentence in that? Who make a noise like the roar of the seas and to the rushing of nations. When we look at Haggai chapter 2, that prophecy is saying that that all of this that is manifesting itself that's playing itself out. Mm-hmm. It's the shaking of the sea and the shaking of the land, and it's the shaking of the nations, and they're all being propelled towards the land of the land of quote unquote where the state of Israel is right now. Mm-hmm. And all nations are being driven and drawn to this portion of the world. Haggai 2, if you ask me, last Saturday, Haggai 2 was either potentially fulfilled or is being fulfilled. Haggai chapter 2, because that specific date, when it's telling you the 21st, was it the 21st day
of the seventh month,
the 21st day of the 7th month? Mm-hmm. This attack, this whole thing, this whole conflict that has perpetuated what we see today
Uh-huh.
started on the 21st day of the 7th month.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about October,
Right.
like the
No, no.
Gregorian calendar.
We were all up. Gregory was there. All of us were there a long time that night. I mean, we were there for a long time. But yeah, you did talk about
So
this.
we're literally treading on biblical prophecy because this whole thing happened on the 21st day of the 7th month on the biblical, on the ancient calendar, 21st day of the 7th month. That's when this thing jump started. This current event that we're speaking on now jump started. The last Saturday was the 21st day of the 7th month. So it's quite interesting. And then here we are moving towards Damascus being tampered with. It's just rough territory. It's just rough territory. I got my eyes peeled, and I suggest that ones who profess to love their creator might want to go back to their first love and recontemplate what is important, because we're about to venture on a nice, long, interesting, bumpy road, if you let me tell it.
But here's the funny thing, and I mean, as podcasts go, I have a lot of things that are the funny things. Here's the funny thing. How because I keep wanting to say in plain Shakespearean fashion and great Shakespeare, it's like it's don't you think that it's sort of easy to take, and I'm being devil's advocate too, don't you think it's sort of easy to take the Bible, especially in this critical time that they, are holding on because they couldn't get everybody to mask up again. But don't you think that it is so, as you said earlier, it doesn't have to be that, but this is like so many different things they're trying to do at one time, and they're just utilizing this particular passage so that they can get the thumbs up from everybody who they would need to agree with it to get the money in, to get the go ahead to do what they're doing. I mean, first of all, you see what Netanyahu said in September, and then what's going on with the current president, what's going on with the previous president, as far as world relations go, right? But don't you think it's easy for somebody to actually follow the Bible and sort of force feed those passages?
Oh,
I just can't
absolutely,
stop turning and
absolutely,
looking at that. I just can't. It's like,
absolutely. That's why you need to be a diligent watchman, and you can't just brush it off.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because you have to dissect it, and you have to see if it's a facade, if it's a psyop.
well, is anybody ever going to pay for the stuff that's going on right now over there? Because that's a lot of.
In time,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, that's why the law can't be done away with, because every Judgment Day is going to be enacted, and it's going to be played out in accordance with the law. So there's going to be an
Mm.
atonement sacrifice. There's going to be a sin offering, and everybody who has perpetuated the evils, the
Mhm.
counter,
Mhm.
the opposing side,
Right.
the adversarial side is going to be the atoning, the sin offering that will burn forever. Its smoke will rise forever.
Yeah, that's what it
And every
says.
time Yah sees it, he's gonna be pleased. That's the sin offering. He's gonna be, oh yeah, yeah, they still burning. I like that. I like that.
But I mean, it's just amazing to me how it all just sort of plays out. And again, the reason why I'm saying it is because I don't know. I just I just keep going back to the fact that this thing started with the Rothschilds. That the whole giving the place and giving the land started with the Rothschilds. And I really do honestly want to remove the Palestinians out of that piece of the conversation and the Jews. I want to focus in on the fact that,
The
excuse me, this
catalyst,
started,
these
huh?
specific, right? The catalyst,
Right,
these
right.
specific antagonizers,
Absolutely. That's
agitators.
Thank you. That's what I'm saying. I want to remove. It could have been, Boo Boo the Fool and the welcome mat that were in those areas or that were coming to those areas or that lived there. It could be anybody, but it's the fact that it started with those people. And for the love of Pete, I can tell you how many times that I hear, people saying, well, they got their foot on the black man's neck. They got their foot on the American's neck. They got their foot on this and that. They. And then you ask the question, well, who's they? Well, you know who they is. They's the Rothschilds, and they are the these, and they are the that. And then the same people that say that they are the they say they are the theys, then they sit right there, and then they, Reverend Porkchop and everybody gets up there and just starts to rally for the theys. And I'm scratching my head because I'm like, are you kidding me? How do you do that? And so Sandy is a little spitfire. She says, they are the Khazarian mafia.
Well, she's being extremely forward.
I love it. I just love it. So I don't know. I just sort of feel like, it's just the times they are changing, and the times they are, it's like, how did this mountain become this flat valley? Well, there was a war, and that's how you got this flat valley. How did they get this big, gigantic thing to happen across that area? And let's not forget that the same area, because it could be the Belt and Road Initiative. I mean, because wait a minute, they're not in bed with China, are they? I know Russia is, but are they in bed with China? Could be they're all in bed with each other. But I think it's either China. Is it China that put that long road chat? China, is it China that put that gigantic long road that's across their ocean? Is that who it is? Because this sounds like what he's talking about sounds exactly like what China just did. It's like a long road. Let me see if I can find it. It's a road. It's like a big bridge.
Yeah, behind
China.
the scenes, while you're looking that up, but behind the scenes, you don't know who's in bed with who. You don't know who's rubbing elbows with who.
Correct.
Now on the quote unquote world stage, there's the politics of it, but behind the scenes, they could be shaking hands and dapping each other up. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah, you really don't. And I mean, it is to me an effort in tandem with genocide. To me, it's also a way to just to just get whatever they wanted to get done. To me. So here it is. It's the world's longest bridge. Let's take it from the BBC News because I know that I can deal with them, except their music is something I can't deal with. Let me block the music out because I can't use that.
All
But
right,
I'm
while
going to
you're doing
show.
it,
Yeah, go ahead.
no, just real quick, just while you're doing that, shout out to Joy Trujillo.
Hey, Joy Trujillo. What she got going on? What does Joy got going on? Joy's doing her thing. Joey be out there fist fighting. Joey, I got to watch you because you be throwing them bows sometimes. Joy be poof, poof, poof. I be watching you, Joy, especially in the comments. Joy is unapologetic. She says what she's gonna say she gonna say it, period. And that's what I like. I love people having differing opinions. I don't think we should all have the same opinion. I think we should have differing opinions and bring those conversations to the table. As long as we talk like we got some sense, then we'll get something out of it. That's just how I see it. This is the world's longest bridge, and I cannot use the sound, but this is it. The 55-kilometer crossing links the cities of Hong Kong, Macau, and one other place across the vast River Pearl. I think that's what it says. One point even goes underwater between two artificial islands. And it's designed to withstand earthquakes and typhoons. Did
That's
you know this was
extraordinary.
being put up? Did you know this was being built? The bridge is meant to boost the local economy. So, but it's not without controversy, they say. Over 9 years of construction, it's faced numerous safety issues until King Kong gets on top of it. 18 workers died and hundreds more were injured. This reminds me of King Kong. Critics say that $20 billion price tag is too high. Others say that it's merely a political symbol aimed at bridging Hong Kong closer to the mainland China.
Yeah.
But now, there I go, baby. It's finally open. And China is celebrating. Look at this monstrosity that if it breaks down the center, it's history. I just wanted to show you that because to me, that's exactly what was up. Oh, what is this? Is this from today? I think it is from today. And if it is from today, let's just go into it because I think it might be. Let me check. I can't see. Where's the date? Oh, 56 minutes ago. Let's see what they say. Let's get into it, shall we?
Just to give you an update, since last night, the Secretary General and his team have been working the phones. He's been in constant contact with Israeli authorities, urging them to avert a humanitarian catastrophe. He's also had phone contacts with permanent representatives here in New York and other officials in the region. Our efforts at headquarters in the field are focused on the following main points. We need to ensure full support for opening humanitarian access to the Gaza Strip to prevent a further loss of civilian life. It is vital that Israeli authorities protect all civilians in UNRWA shelters, including schools, and protect all civilians, full stop. UN facilities must be protected at all times and must never come under attack in accordance with international humanitarian law. We're also continuing to do our utmost to mobilize life-saving humanitarian assistance. Our colleagues at the Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs have launched a flash appeal, and I'll have a bit more on that in a second. And our colleagues at the UN Relief and Works Agency for Palestine Refugees in the Near East, UNRWA, which desperately needed financial help before this crisis, needs it even more now. And we want to thank the government of Jordan for its generous donation. We must ensure the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages being held in Gaza, and we need, of course, to avoid a spillover of this conflict to the West.
So that's where we're going to end it today. You guys can all go on over there and check it all out so you can watch it yourself. I just want to say I appreciate each and every one of you guys for being with me this afternoon. Thank you, Ronnie. My brother had to go. I'm about to pull out. I wasn't able to get my friend to come on with me, but perhaps he can join me again soon. As I said, he did mention that he was busy. He was not even at home. He was actually out and about. So what I want to do is thank everybody. I want everybody to remember to not fill your mouths up and your bodies up with all that trash that's going on right now, because in all of this stuff that's going on, there's some truth and there's some lies. And you just got to keep your eyes focused on the Father at all times. You don't want to lose sight of that. And you know that he takes care of all of us. So you guys, I love each and every one of you. I appreciate you guys for hanging with us for the last 2 hours and 7 minutes. Remember what we always say on any Felicia Lockhart publication, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. Until we see each other again, you guys remember to take care of yourselves, and then you can take care of everybody else. And then after that, I want you to take care of my friend, and you'll find that my friend is you. Take care. Peace. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Lockhart Perspective. Helping you along the way. Helping you to make it through another day.